Thank you for staying with us. It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on the front page of Nigerian newspapers. And I begin with the Blueprint newspaper. The major story here, Tinubu's renewed hope agenda working. Akume. The Rider Day 1-year anniversary will be low-key, says Information Minister. Another story here quickly. Cancer. UNICEF reaffirms safety of human papillomavirus vaccines. And Yakubu CX stop coordinating ruling parties' candidates in local government polls, urges governors to allow electoral bodies independence. Another story here quickly, military not profiling or profiting rather from terrorism. Defense headquarters counters Katsina governor. Some of the stories you find on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper. To the Nigerian News Direct, 1-year anniversary, Tinubu ministers to present scorecard. And the writer there says, President has laid foundation for sustainable progress, prosperity in 1 year. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation speaking there. Now, regional bodies integration key to strengthening intra-African trade. That's what the federal government is saying. The two-story structure collapses in Lagos community during heavy downpour. And Rivers Investment Haven for prospective investors, Governor Fubara is saying. Those are some of the stories you find on the front page of the Nigerian News Direct. The First News newspaper. Cross River Assembly rocked. Chaos as lawmakers impeach Speaker amid corruption allegations. DSS police take over Assembly complex. Ayambem Kicks says, I remain Speaker. News of my impeachment fake. Another story here. CBN implements sweeping changes, revamps guidelines for Bureau de Change operators. Nigerian government bans movies featuring money rituals. Interesting. Well, those are some of the stories you find on the front page of the First News newspaper. To the Daily Trust now. CNG, no conversion centers in 27 states. High cost, forex crisis, slow adoption. Owners of 15.5 M vehicles in dilemma. Federal government partner Algon to reach 774 local government areas. And another story here. Zamfara lawmakers abducted daughters rescued after 17 months. Norway, Ireland, Spain to recognize Palestinian state May the 28th. Some stories on the front page of the Daily Trust. To the Salient Times now. Africa must re-examine democracy inherited from the West. That's what former President Olusegun Obasanjo is saying. Insists on rethink of liberal democracy. Says Africa democracy is breeding dictatorial tendencies. And this story, Emir of Kano visits Aujale, says his contribution to national development exemplary, worthy of emulation. And witness slums dies inside Ondo Court. A really sad one there. And another story quickly. Federal government bans money ritual killing and smoking scenes in movies, musical videos, and skits. You are joking, Kanayo, Mike Okri, slam federal government. Olamide.
I'll begin here with the New Telegraph. LG polls near coronation of ruling party's candidates. That's from INEC chairman. President Tinubu calls for regional integration, trade ties in Africa as Obasanjo seeks domestication democracy for the continent. And on the lower left, defense headquarters to Katsina governor substantiates allegations of troops' involvement in terrorism. And also on the newspaper, minimum wage, labor shift ground slashes proposal to 500,000 naira as federal government sticks to 54,000 naira, private sector settles for 56,000 naira. On vandalism, Senate asks federal government to restore power to the Northeast. Reps urge federal government not to grant divestment consent to IOCs. On the Labour Party crisis, ex-NLC President Omar heads to Transition Committee to conduct fresh national convention in 3 months. And court admits Abba Kyari to 50 million naira bail for 2 weeks. Also on the newspaper, federal government bans money rituals, smoking sins in Nollywood movies. Those are some of the stories on the New Telegraph. I move to the Matrix. New minimum wage, federal government, labor negotiations, deadlock. Labor backs down, reduces demand to 497,000 naira. Rejects federal government's fresh 57,000 naira wage proposal. And ahead of ultimatum, Soludo sets up committee on minimum wage orders. President Tinubu to attend inauguration of Mohammed Debe as Chad's president on Thursday. And also experts brainstorm on guidelines for fintechs in Nigeria. Crisis rocks Cross River State Assembly, police takeover assembly as Ayabim fights impeachment. Interesting. And President Tinubu reassigns Woke as Nosdra CEO, appoints Ashiru as Ogun Osun River Basin Managing Director. And also on the Matrix, the court grants disgraced cop Abba Kyari 2-week bail for mother's burial. And that's on the Matrix. I move to the Leadership newspaper. 21 companies shut down in Kano in 3 years as stakeholders blame epileptic power supply, multiple taxes, counterfeiting. They say we're aware of only 4 companies that moved to Ogun. That's according to the Kano state government. Federal government apologizes over hardship, defends economic policies. We're tired of federal government deception. This is a statement made by ASU. And to Zamfara, after 17 months, abducted Zamfara lawmaker's daughter rescued. On the forex crisis, CBN gives BDC's June 3rd deadline to get new licenses. And we move to the May 29th celebration. Federal government opts for low-key celebration. In Plateau State, on bandit attacks, the governor says Plateau State is calm and peaceful. Those are some of the stories on the front page of the Leadership. And to This Nigeria. On the Naira crisis, UK students face hard times. University ejects students, orders them to leave the country. On insecurity, military denies aiding, abetting, profiting from banditry, terrorism, tackles Katsina Governor Rada, asks him to substantiate claims. And also on this newspaper, on the minimum wage, labor reduces demand to 497,000 as federal government, private sector offer 57,000 naira. And finally, Abure dislodged as Labour Party chair, ex-NLC boss Umar heads transition committee. Again, Senate gives conditions to reabsorb suspended Ningi. Finally, on this, Nigeria, Tinubu's administration supports local government autonomy, says the SGF. I move to the Punch. Private sector fares loan repayment crisis. Previous interest rate hikes are killing businesses. 1.5 trillion naira bad loans may rise, according to operators. And to your state, where the State Assembly approves Makinde's 10 billion naira loan request. Medical tourism spending falls by $5.24 million, according to the CBN. Failed robbery in Lagos State. Lagos varsity student escaped death. And in Ogun, the police launched manhunt for Ogun women's abductors. On the minimum wage, meeting adjourned as Labour rejects fresh 54,000 naira offer. Tinubu okay's $750 million for rural electrification.
So let's move to the Guardian here. It says here from 9 billion naira in 2006, abandoned National Library to cost over 200 billion naira. 18-year-old construction work. Lagos Correctional Centers overstretched by 104%, says government. Federal government says negotiation is for minimum wage, not living wage, offers 57,000 naira. Abakari gets bail after 27 months in detention. Tinubu Obasanjo seeks regional integration to deepen democracy. Move to the Nation newspaper. It says Forex crisis. BDCs to recapitalize, reapply in CBN reform plan. Apex Bank rejigs operations of foreign currency dealers. Street trading of Forex outlawed. Tinubu in support of autonomy for council, says Akume. How Free 86 were rescued from Sambisa. Troops stay in forest. Judges okay end of election petition before inauguration. Emir of Kano Bayero hails Awujale's leadership style. First Lady empowers women in fabric business. And that's in the Nation newspaper this morning. Now let's move to the Vanguard. It says here, minimum wage talks, labor cuts demand to 497,000 naira. Federal government APS offer 57,000 naira. Yesterday's talks end in stalemate. Uzodinma attends briefly as other governors shun minimum wage talks. Solution to bad governance in Africa is more democracy, says Tinubu. Currency crisis, UK varsity sends Nigerians packing. Reps query contractors over abandoned projects after 85% payment. Reform policies have attracted FDI, reduced inflation. That's in Vanguard newspaper. Business Day says BOI, Nigeria's oldest financier, posts biggest ever profit. Africa's most productive oil assets get no love from investors. Seplat ExxonMobil misses another deadline. Rising poverty slows Nigeria's voyage to clean cooking. Tinubu's ministers to account for 1 year in office starting today. Let's move to sporting life. Manchester United told to pay £80 million for Braithwaite. Lokman hat-trick hero. Leverkusen beaten for the first time. Atalanta wins Europa League. Diaz win 3-0 in Dublin. Super Eagles star named MVP. Celebrates title with mother. Says it's one of the best nights of my life. Arsenal to offer Jesus cash for Osimhen. Unwilling to pay Napoli £120 million for Nigerian. Finidi to Super Eagles, Nigeria bigger than Napoli. Others. Chelsea identify Maresca as Pochettino's replacement. This and many more in the Sporting Life newspaper this morning.
Absolutely. So many stories to be spoken about, but I believe that our viewers have been updated with regards to stories making headlines this morning. Of course, the Rivers Assembly crisis also dominating the papers. The Renewed Hope agenda also making headlines also as we count down to 1 year of the president's time in office. And also making headlines this morning is the matter of the CNGs. No conversion centers in 27 states. That's what some of the papers are reporting, talking about high cost, forex crisis, slow adoption, and all of it, even though government has promised that it is working on that, and that something will be done in a matter of days before May the 29th or so. But let's